Walk Two Moons by Sharon Creech. Salamanca Tree Hiddle is a very brave girl. When she was young, her mom left her dad, and their farm in By Banks, Kentucky, and moved to Idaho. After a period of time, Sal and her dad moved to Ohio, where one of her dad's friends, Mrs. Cadaver, lived. Sal missed the farm very much and begged to go back. Sal eventually gets used to the place and makes some friends, who are named Phoebe Winterbottom, Ben and Mary Lou Finley, and many others. She also develops a crush for Ben. Sal tells the tale of her life in Ohio while on a car trip with her grandparents to visit her mom's grave. One day when Sal came over to Phoebe's house to hang out, there was a knock on the door. They opened the door only to see that there is a nervous teenage boy asking to see Phoebe's mom. They tell him she's not there and he leaves. The next week, the Winterbottoms have been receiving letters on their front porch that contain small phrases. For example, "Don't judge a man until you walk 2 moons in his moccasins." Like Sal, Phoebe's mom unexpectedly decides to leave home. Phoebe and the rest of the family wait for her to return. On their journey to Sal's mom's grave, her grandpa and her grandma decide to go swimming in a lake. Little did they know that there was a snake in the lake, which bites Graham's legs, sending her to the hospital. After this, her health faltered. When a month has passed and there's no sign of Mrs. Winterbottom, Phoebe goes to the police station with the accusation that Mrs. Cadaver and the nervous teenage boy are the cause of this. She goes to state her case, and afterwards, her dad brings her home. When they are leaving the police station, Sal sees a picture of the nervous teen boy on the officer's desk and decides to tell Phoebe about it. They both find the nervous boy by calling his parents and goes to see him. When they finally arrive at the nervous boy's college, they see the boy and Phoebe's mom talking. They don't confront them, instead they watch from a distance. Sal decides to follow Ben, who is at the hospital with his mom. That is where she has her first kiss, and they return home. While on their drive, Graham looks very pale. Graham tries to wake her up but fails. He immediately rushes her to the nearest hospital, where Sal says her last words to her grandma. Her Graham gives her the keys to the car, and she drives to her mother's grave. She is stopped and arrested by a policeman. The policeman drives her the rest of the way to her mother's grave and then drives her back to her Graham's, where she receives news that her grandma has died. Soon, Phoebe's mom decides to come home and then reveals to her family that the nervous teen boy was her son. After a few minutes, Phoebe and Sal go outside only to see Mrs. Cadaver's mom putting a letter on their doorstep. They read the letter and then tell Mrs. Cadaver's mom that she had already given them this quote. After a while, Sal, Gramps, and her dad move back to the farm, and they are all excited that her friends would be visiting her soon. I really enjoyed this book. I'm glad that I chose it because it was really interesting and it was well written.